So ladies and gentlemen, help me in welcoming on stage Eric and Michael.
So welcome and thanks for having us on stage. Next to me I have Eric Rudekowski, coming from France, working for a nice company called Certilog. He's accredited in almost everything you can be accredited in. Requirements engineering, IQBBA, software testing, TMMI, I think. You do, what is it? On the water, in the sea, you do all kinds of stuff.
Wing foil. Yeah.
Wing foil, okay, that's it. So everything you want to know about a certificate or an exam, Eric is your guy. Sit.
Okay. And Michael, so he is a little bit like me, but just a little bit better in all the fields. And he's able to manage his professional life and also his personal life. So he's got a family life and he's very good in all the fields. So to warm up a little bit, we're going to start with a couple of questions, ISTQB-like question about the ISTQB. Let's take the first one. So I hope you've all heard about the ISTQB. The first question is, how many member boards do you think we have within the ISTQB? Is it 103, 54, 67, 329? Who thinks it's answer A? No. Who is in favor of answer B? We've got 1B, 2B. What about answer C? 67? 67. We've got about 10 hands. And the last one, more than 300? No, so the correct? Mr. President, maybe soon?
That's the ChatGPT answer.
ChatGPT answer, yeah. So it's 67 board. So it's already a huge number, and the ISTQB is covering all the world. Even if we don't have yet one board per country, it's really covering all the world. Next question, how many certified people do you think there are in the world? Who is for answer A, between 100,000 and 120,000? No. Answer B, up to 400,000? No. Answer C, up to 800,000? Yes, we can. And answer D, more than 800,000. Yeah, answer D is the correct answer, and it keeps growing, and I would say that it never stops growing. It's really something which is growing, and I hope it's never going to stop. Okay, I will give you the answer for the next question. It's about the number of ISTQB certified people in the world. In the world, we are close to 1 million. It's not yet 1 million. What about in Mauritius? Do you know how many ISTQB certified people you have here in Mauritius? Is it A, between 1 and 100, B, between 100 and 500, or more, between 500, 1,000, more than 1,000? I'm going to ask Michael. Michael, what would be your answer? I've got the correct answer. Don't look at the answer.
It's a pretty new board, so I guess A, between 1 and 100.
No. I got the last figures from Loveless yesterday. It's 184. And it's already a lot. I can tell you that it's really great because the Mauritian board is relatively young and it's also growing very fast and very efficiently. So that's really impressive. And in the room, I know some of the certified people in the room. Who is ISTQB certified already in the room? Aha, you too. Okay, so it's about 50%. So we'll see at the end, we're going to have a short quiz for you to challenge you a little bit to see if you still remember what you learned when you took the trainings. So we're going to start about how to create a syllabus. What is the recipe? So syllabus is a strange word. The meaning is just that it's like the detailed program of the trainings to be given to prepare the people to take the certification exam. So how do we do? First of all, there are many stakeholders involved in the process around the ISTQB. So we've got the ISTQB GA with the executive committee and the member board representative making the decisions. There are different groups for marketing, technical activities, and two groups are very important for this topic. This is the foundation level working group. I'm the chair of this group, and also the Agile working group, and Michael is the chair of the Agile working group. And these two groups were in charge of creating and maintaining two syllabus, foundation level and Agile tester. And today we are cooperating, we are working closely together to deliver the next version of the foundation level syllabus. So what do we need to create a syllabus? First, we need some business outcomes. The goal is to show that there is a real value with this system of learning. So it answers the questions like, why shall I take the exam for the foundation level? What is the added value? What is the outcome? And so on. So that's really the starting point. It's a little bit like the business objective or business requirements at the beginning of an IT project. Then we have to create some learning objectives, which are a little bit more technical. It's about what are we going to learn with the course. So it may be very detailed, like something about the test design techniques. It may be something about soft skills, but it's concrete. It's something you will definitely need in your work as a tester. Then, of course, we have to deliver the content of the syllabus, and it's going to be a huge work. We have to provide the content to cover all the learning objectives. So we'll come back to this topic later. This is the content of the current version. And we'll give you some information about the content of the next version, of course. Once we have the learning objectives and the overview of the content, we will start working as early as possible on the questions. It's a little bit like TDD. I call this QDD, like question-driven development of the syllabus. We first start writing questions before writing the content. And then we will have to deliver the content that will be enough for the people to understand, learn the topic, and then correctly answer the question. It's also a huge work, and we've got someone in the room, Lucian, who is in charge of this activity. Thank you, Lucian. It's really a very, very important work. Okay, and that's about it. That's the most important components: business outcomes, learning objectives, questions, sample exam questions, and the content. And of course, we'll have to deliver this in an iterative way. We have to deliver the business outcomes to get feedback, to improve them. Then we move to the LOs, they have validated and so on. And we have to deliver a first alpha version of the syllabus, then a beta version. And today we are finalizing the very final version that should be delivered soon. Regarding the core team, so we have a core team of about 10 to 15 people. And as you can see, Mauritius is part of the core team. We've got 2 people involved. Yesterday we had a meeting in this hotel to check all the comments and fix some of the defects in the syllabus. And we had the pleasure to welcome Lita from Mauritius in the group. She was very efficient and she was part of the team. Then I will let Michael explain you why we need a new syllabus. Why? Because we've got a product which is already very successful, so why to improve, why to change this syllabus?
So, what Eric asked is a good question. We have a syllabus which is adopted by almost the entire world, as you saw, where more than 800,000 people are certified. Why do we need a new one? Why are we going to change something which is already there and is widely accepted? Well, ISTQB Foundation has underwent quite a large history. It comes from different syllabi that are merged together from ISF, ASQF, was founded to ISTQB and so on. So a huge cascade of different syllabi. Now, the last version, the most recent version that you can find on the ISTQB website, the syllabus, the exam questions, are dated back from 2018. I do not know for you guys, but if I read something from 2018, that seems a bit dated. Things have changed. The world has changed. 2018, we were still not talking that much about DevOps. Automation was completely different. ChatGPT didn't exist. So we have underwent changes. When we were composing the 2018 version of the ISTQB syllabus, Agile was still in certain countries something new, that we were not certain that it would be a breakthrough. Will it actually be accepted by the world? Nowadays, when you look at the numbers when it comes down to agility, which is in ISTQB my domain, it's something else. The World Quality Report has measured the uptake of agility in organizations. So they send out an inquiry to different organizations asking, if you develop software, what kind of software development system are you using? And there were 4 responses that came out. It was it was not closed source, so you had Agile, you had something sequential, V-model, waterfall. You had a combination of both, the Vegile, Wedgile, hybrid, water scrum, whatever you can think, not waterboarding, water scrum, or something else which is iterative. Now, if you take a look at the numbers, almost 80% of the people responding to the inquiry said, we are using pure Agile models. That's a lot. We have 43 say, we still work in sequential. And I know I'm speaking for a testing audience, and you might say, Michael, that cannot be correct. That's more than 100%. And you're absolutely right. Sorry, I have no prizes for you, but that's right. People could select more options. A lot of organizations are also using a combination of things. That for a certain, for example, for the development period, for the unit test, they're using sprints, iterations, backlogs, and for the end-to-end testing, they're still using a V-model approach. That's fine. And still 11% is using something iterative. Now, what these numbers show for me is that a huge part of the world is at least working in small, in tiny iterations, have adapted a certain agility, which is or was not reflected in the latest version of the syllabus. So we needed to update the syllabus. Now, when it comes down to creation of a new syllabus, that is always something sensitive. It's ISTQB's most successful product. It's what everybody knows. So every change has a huge impact on you as participants, wanting to follow a training, doing self-study, reading the syllabus, taking an exam, to the training providers out there, to the exam providers out there. There are so many stakeholders. And what is the reality in France and in Belgium and in Mauritius and in Denmark and in the US might not be the reality in Malaysia or in Korea or in something else. So it becomes something which is highly sensitive to change. What we do remember, and what is our vision for the ISTQB Foundation syllabus, that it's the stepping stone, the foundation, the hallmark, the essential skill set, the necessary knowledge that any tester should have. That's the basic. Regardless of where you are in the world, what company you work for, what is your complete job title, this is what you need to know. And starting from that vision, we said we're going to adapt things. Now, if you take a look at the current ISTQB website, you find a picture like this, where you have 3 streams. You have the Agile stream, the core stream, and the specialist. Where Eric is responsible for the syllabus all below, the core foundation, and my responsibility is on the left-hand side for the Agile tester. Now, you cannot tell the people, I cannot explain to you that we are agilizing the foundation syllabus and that we still have an Agile syllabus there. So hopefully, in the near future, if everything goes well, if those people in the second row are doing a great job, we can transform and we can transport a lot of that agility into the new foundation. So we hope to have it ready in a few months, where we can present it to you, so it will be downloadable for free. You can take exams, you can follow trainings, that you are or you can be accredited according to the new foundation syllabus. Is it a big job? It is, it was, and it will be, because quite the things will have changed. What is the content? And this is a sneak preview. So I hope you're ready for it. This is a sneak preview of what ISTQB expects a tester in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge regarding processes, tools, automation, and so on. From a foundation knowledge, we talk about the necessity. Why do you need to test? We want that a tester can explain to his or her stakeholders why there's a necessity to test. Because I still am always challenged. Why do I have to pay a tester to check the work of somebody else? Development will be fine. Developers don't make mistakes. It works on my machine. No need for that. What are the testing principles? What are the skill sets required for testers? And what is the generic process for testing? That's what we consider foundation knowledge. When we talk about SDLCs, software development life cycles, we want that testers understand how companies are delivering software and systems. We talk about, and that's something new, about TDD, test-driven development, typically for unit and component testing. We are going to talk about acceptance test-driven development. We are going to talk about BDD, Gherkin, Cucumber, fitness. That's new. We will talk about writing user stories. That's for a lot of people an eye-opener, because until now, testing was done by and for testers. Now we open up a complete new world where we say a tester should also be able to write requirements or to assist in the writing of requirements. We'll talk about DevOps, about continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous delivery. We talk about the testing pyramid, the differentiation between unit test, API testing, and graphical user interface testing. The difference between white and black box testing, based on the structure and based on the requirements. About non-functional testing, about regression testing, about maintenance testing. So there's quite a lot in there which was already there as a hardening. There's also quite a new topics there. We talk about static testing, the techniques to do static testing, code-based testing. We talk about shift left, the biggest keyword nowadays that you avoid, you try to overcome defects before they initialize in your software. We talk about reviews and review techniques, and we talk about the return on investment of doing static testing. Because still nowadays, quite a few managers, organizations need to be convinced of the need for static testing. What else is there? For me, the most fun part and also the most tangible part, the most active part is what we call dynamic testing. Writing test cases that actually test the system and executing those. The techniques. We talk about the definition of acceptance criteria. When is a requirement, when is a software considered good enough? Definition of ready, definition of done. We talk about actual writing test cases in ATDD, in Gherkin and Cucumber. And we talk about our main techniques which have already been there for quite a few years. Equivalence partitioning, boundary value analysis, decision table testing, state transition testing, and I think there's a mistake there in the animation, sorry for that. Test management, the test plan for iterations, sprint planning, release planning, definition of ready, definition of done, prioritization, more and more important. We are now shifting the responsibility of prioritizing your work from this is for the test manager to this is for you as an autonomous team. Estimations, planning poker, wideband Delphi, 3-point estimates becomes again responsibility of the tester. What are the different risks? We talk about ISO standards, we talk about defect management, and we talk a little bit about automation also. What is the need of automation? What are the risks of automation? When do you automate? And what type of tools are there? And as I said, this presentation was maybe not so properly tested. There are things that are wrong in the presentation itself. So to continue with the techniques, we have decision table testing. We have state transition testing. We have error guessing. We have exploratory testing. So there's quite a lot there. You can be certain that if you follow the new foundation syllabus, if you read it, if you understand it, if you apprehend what ISTQB wants you to know, that you are ready to be a tester in the next couple of years. But I was promised that my friend Eric would now serve as quizmaster. So Eric, are you ready?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, yeah, so it's really a lot of content. We try to limit it to the minimum required to be working as a good tester, but even to start, you need to know a lot and to be able to implement code. Yes, so as promised, we're going to do a short quiz with a couple of sample exam questions to challenge you a little bit. I will briefly give you the rules of the game. So the first rule is that if you are president or vice president of the ISTQB, you're not allowed to participate in the game. Unfortunately, if you're a member of the core team of the authors of the syllabus, you're not allowed to participate. Otherwise, you can. What are you going to win? Because we expect to have 1 or 2 winners. At the end, you're going to win a book, maybe 2 books written by the French board in French. And the authors are in the room. So the first gift will be the book, and the second gift, if Olivier agrees, will be to have the signature of the ISTQB president in the book. Because the book is also written by Olivier Deneau, president of the ISTQB.
I heard it was written by ChatGPT.
So basically, I'm going to ask the participant to stand up, and we're going to start the question. So please stand up. Except if you have to stand up if you don't mind. Yes, please do. And we're going to start. At the back, you also need to play. Except if you are a president, but I don't think. Okay. So we're going to take the question one by one, and when you fail, you sit down. I will check this. Don't try to cheat with me. Question 1. We're going to start with an easy one to give you confidence. So, which of the following statements is a valid test objective? I give you 60 seconds, and then I'm going to ask you.
It's me, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. Maybe. So who answered B, apart from Olivier?
Was already sitting.
Nobody selected B, so good news. It's not the correct answer. So who selected D? Nobody. Who selected C? C? Yes, correct. The first one was easy, I told you. Next one. Michael, read the question.
Okay. Which of the following activities occurs typically during the phase of test analysis? So again, 60 seconds. Who says A? B? C? Nobody. D? Yeah, Mitko. No, B is the right answer.
The right answer is B. B. So if you didn't answer B, you can sit down.
It's too easy, Eric. It's too
Good.
easy.
You're not cheating. I was looking at you. So that's good. Next one. How is the integrated team approach present in the interactions between testers and company representatives? One answer for this one. So, who selected A? Nobody, right? There is a good level, Mauritius. I told you we would be impressed. B? Who selected B? What about C? C is not the correct answer, so you can sit down. So D is indeed the best answer for this question. Let's move to the next one. Michael.
Okay. Which of the following statements is true about what we call acceptance test driven or acceptance test driven development, ATDD, the technique?
Seconds.
32 for a moment. Okay, who says A? B? C? D? The right answer is A. So everybody who doesn't have A, please sit down.
And by the way, I forgot to give you one rule, which is the following. The correct answer for any questions of the ISTQB is the answer given by the author of the question. I guess, Christian, you agree with this? If you want to comply, you can ask Christian. So, it's beginning to be interesting. Next one, let's have a look. So, which of the following is not an example of the shift-left approach? 5 seconds. It's a short one. Okay, are you ready? So for this one, who selected D? Nobody selected D? So we may have an issue. Because D, so we're going to skip this question. D is the correct answer. If you don't agree with D, ask Lucian. But D is the correct answer for this one. I hope you did not miss the not in the question, which is not. Okay, so that was D, we forget this one. Next one. This is for you, Michael.
So I have to read that sentence, okay. So you're trying to test a simplify apartment search, a form for that has only 2 criteria. So you have 2 selection options, which is floor and the type of garden. Floor has 3 options, first floor or ground floor, second floor, and second floor or higher. And the type of garden also with 3 options, no garden, small garden, and a large garden. We say that for each test you have 2 input values, the floor and the garden type, and you want to apply equivalence scoring to cover each floor and each garden type. Now as testers, and this is what we typically call a K3 question to apply, to make exercises, what is the minimum number of test cases you would require? And bear in mind, testers are lazy, so if we can do something with 1 test case, we prefer it over 2 test cases. Managers are happy. What is the minimum amount of test cases that you want to have, you need to have 100% coverage of all the equivalence partitions? Who says A? B? C? I think you go home with a lot of books. The correct answer here is A. Equivalence partitioning is not about making combinations, it's testing that you can select the inputs. So 3 answer is correct. Nobody had it right, so you can stay up. That's Eric has one final question, I guess. Do we have time for one more?
Yes, sure.
Okay, one more.
So the very last one, so you're testing a system whose life cycle is modeled by the state transition diagram shown below. The system starts in the init state and ends its operation in the off state. You can have a look at the diagram. What's the minimum number of test cases to achieve valid transition coverage for this model? 4, 2, 7, or 3?
Should we give a small tip?
No. Oh, yes, you can.
So as an aid, transition coverage is that every error is tested minimum once.
Okay, so we're going to ask who selected B? Nobody. Oh yeah, you say, unfortunately it's not B, it's not 2. So who selected A? So it's not A, and it looks like we have, so it's not A. And who selected D? D? Stan, I guess you selected D, right?
No.
No? C. I did not ask for C. Okay, so you selected C. So unfortunately, the correct answer is D, with 3 test cases. So what we're going to do, I think the books will be given at the end of the day. They will be remotely given to people in the room. I guess there are gifts at the end. And the signature of Olivier, if you agree, will also be given at the end of the day. But thank you very much for participating. I think it's interesting to see that you may have questions that look easy, but if you do not learn the right method and the right techniques, you don't know how to deal with these issues. So it's very important to be able to learn the methods, to learn the techniques, in order to be more efficient in your test activities. So thank you very much for your participation. If you have any question, you can ask Michael and me. If you have any question about the question, you can ask Lucian. Yes? So we've got the first question. Oh. Thank you, Michael, for the mic.
Yes, good morning. Actually, speaking of my question yesterday, based on the fact that you are developing your courses, and there is improvements, there are no technologies, there are no new approaches, there are new products like ChatGPT and stuff like that, picking up agility. With the situation that you have your training courses, your certifications, if somebody takes the exam like 10 years ago, what's the validity of this person being certified compared to somebody that is certifying this year? Because I mean, there's a huge gap. I don't know what's the percentage between the syllabus from 10 years ago compared to the new one that is coming. How much has been changed? Are we talking about 10% change, 25%, 80% change? So how is this comparable with somebody that is certifying nowadays compared to somebody that's certified 10 years ago? Because the person 10 years ago is not at the same level as somebody today.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think so. First of all, as you know, it's a good point. The certificate is valid. There's no end date of the certificate. However, my opinion on this is that if someone took the training and certificate 10 years ago, I think there are 2 options. Option 1 is that this people has worked in the field of testing for 10 years. She's still working in the field of testing, so I guess she will have learned new techniques. So she will still have a good level. And on the other way, if this person stopped working in the field of testing, she will probably have forgotten most of the content And in that case, if she wants to go back to the testing area, she could have to take again a course to learn the new techniques. But otherwise, it's still valid. Anything to add, Michael?
I think if you followed an ISTQB training 10 years ago or took the exam, I think a refresher is always good. Whether that will be downloading and reading the syllabus and asking questions, because that's always possible. Whether it's following a new course or taking the exam, it depends on what your objectives are. If you're going to work for a company, for a customer, for a client that wants you, that urges you to be certified, a new certificate can be an idea, because your question was also how much of the syllabus has changed. Compared to the 2018 version, I think more than 50% underwent changes. There are so many new topics in there which were not in Foundation. So if you want to stay relevant, I can only recommend that you at least download, read the syllabus. If you want to go further, you follow a training. If you require the certificate, then you take the new certification. But as Eric also says, ISTQB has a rule that a Foundation certificate or any certificate always remains valid. So in terms of advancing as a prerequisite to the specialist modules or to the advanced, the old Foundation is still okay. Other questions? Then the only thing standing in the way between you and the coffee break is us. So please enjoy the coffee. Thank you very much.
Thank you.